Hello folks, Ram Ramji. Welcome back to Reality Check with Arvind Swaminathan. Today, it may take a little while for this video, but may I urge you to please look at it in toto, complete, from start to finish. Because so far we've looked at a whole lot of things individually as isolated events. Each one of them was a trailer. When you start joining the dots, you see the whole movie. Now, instead of spending time with your mobile, spend a half hour on this one. Now, I keep telling you that the Congress Party has always been the Muslim League under a non-Muslim sounding name. And you see how they've maneuvered India into becoming almost completely an Islamic nation. They've shamed Hindus at every twist and turn, to the extent that we're almost apologetic for being Hindus. We don't want to fight anymore. There's no unity among us, which is precisely what they've been trying to do. People, they talk about it, but when it comes to action, they stay back. Now, let's see what they've been doing. Nehru, since 1947, has hated Hindus. You see, 1954, Article 370 and 35A. Then you had 1956, Hindu Civil Code. Why? When the Constitution demands a uniform civil code, why is there a Hindu Civil Code? 1956 divided India again on the basis of language. 1973, Indira Gandhi, Muslim Personal Law Board. In between, Nehru gave away Coco Islands to Myanmar. Indira Gandhi gave away Kachativu to Sri Lanka. Nehru refused to take over Gwadar port, even though it would have cost him a mere $1 million. Why? He refused to allow Nepal to join the Union of India. Why? Was he that incompetent or useless? 1962, well, you know what happened, Aksai Chin. Rajiv Gandhi, 1985, Shabano case. Muslim women were not to be treated as equal. They mustn't get any maintenance and so on. In the case of a divorce. He also brought in a very nasty act, an amendment to the Indian Citizenship Act, when he declared that all Bangladeshis who came into Assam, not West Bengal, just Assam, prior to December 31st, 1971, automatically became citizens of India. Even today they're using that ploy. No, my grandparents came over in 1970, 1968. I'm Indian. And of course, 1954, Nehru also recognized the Waqf Board. More power in 1964, even more power in 1984. And then the Waqf Act 1995 gave them so much power that in all cases of land disputes, anything to do with the Waqf Board, Sharia law has become the law of the land, de facto law of India. The only place you can challenge the Waqf Board is the Waqf Tribunal, which consists of a 7-member bench, one IAS officer, one MP, one MLA, one cleric, one advocate, one mutawalli, and one town planner. Everyone a Muslim. Their decision is final and it is binding. According to that Act 1995, you could not challenge it in court, you could not even go to the Supreme Court. As I said, Sharia law had become the law of the land. Now the strange thing is, the Waqf board can only accept donations. Land which is donated to them, did they ever check to see if the donor really owns that piece of land? No. But this particular act of 1995, Waqf Act 1995, gives them the power to claim any piece of land they felt like. The moment they said, they put the finger and said, this is Waqf land, it became their land. But the real problem arose a couple of years ago when the Waqf board claimed all the land in 6 villages in Tamil Nadu. Tirunelveli district. One of them was Trichandore. The strange thing is, the local authorities may transfer the land to the Waqf board, but they won't tell you. They don't have to tell you. The Waqf board simply tells the local authorities, means the collector, the DM and the SI, look, these people are on Waqf land, they are encroachers, remove them. And they have to do it. And they don't request them, they order them to do it under this act. That's how diabolical this act is. Now you think, why? 6 villages in Tamil Nadu. Not so long ago, there's another village in Bihar. I think Govindpur or Govindpuri in Bihar, near Patna. They've claimed the entire land. They sent notices to all these people to vacate within 30 days. And did those guys, those village folk, they went through the roof. There is now a stay order on them. But why are they doing this? I said they're trying to make India an Islamic country. Right? You had Nehru and the Congress party since 1947 passing all sorts of legislation solidly in favor of Muslims and Muslim organizations, totally against Hindus. Now the problem is that this Waqf board has started claiming land belonging to Hindus, which again is totally against the spirit of the Waqf board and their, how shall I put it, their mandate. Quite apart from that, no Islamic country has a Waqf board. So why is there one in this country? All the land left behind in 1947 in West Pakistan and East Pakistan as it was then, their governments took over. So why were people in this country allowed to give it to the Waqf board instead of the government taking it over? I'll explain that in a minute. So far you've seen legislation in Parliament and so on, and now the Waqf board and its diabolical powers. There is a third element which you haven't connected with this. Rajiv Gandhi encouraged Bangladeshis to come into India, and they became Indian citizens overnight. Why? Because of that amendment which he brought in, I think, 1985 or 1986. Those who came over before December 31st, 1971, automatically became Indian citizens. So even if they came over in 2019, they say, oh, my grandfather has been in Assam since 1968 or 1970 or 1958. Therefore, I'm an Indian citizen. Now you understand why somewhere between 60 and 70 million Bangladeshis have wandered into India, and yet we don't even know where they are. Why? Now you begin to understand, because the Waqf board in 2008 had only 4 lakh acres registered in their name. Suddenly that's gone up to 9.25 lakh acres. Why? Now what happens when these Bangladeshis come in? The first thing they do is go to a mosque in West Bengal or Assam or wherever. They go into a mosque, they get safe house. It's a safe house for them. They get shelter, food and so on. If they go to a Shahi Idgah in any district, they're done, they're made. So a person who comes over with nothing already has a place to stay, food to eat and so on. Now, if he goes to a normal mosque, they will get in touch with the local Shahi Idgah. Why? Every Shahi Idgah throughout this country is in direct contact with the Jama Masjid in Delhi. Or Jama Masjid, sorry. You understand my meaning? They have complete knowledge of how many Muslims there are in each state, each district, everywhere, all over the country. Now the Shahi Idgah in these districts tell them, look, we have so many Bangladeshis here. Where do you want them to go? Where can we accommodate them? The Jama Masjid people then look around and say, let me see now. In Karnataka, there's a village here. You can send them to this particular mosque. The whole chain of mosques, madrasas, throughout from there on, will then make sure they get to Karnataka, or if it's in Maharashtra, or Gujarat, or anywhere else. Yes, but how do you accommodate them? I mean, 60 to 70 million is not a small little figure. The Waqf Board and the 9.25 lakh acres which they have. Wherever that is possible, they get put onto these particular lands. And you've got a whole village coming in, a whole township. Now you understand the 6 villages in Tamil Nadu and 1 in Bihar. Why the whole village? You've got a large group coming in there to take over that village. This is how they've been changing the demography of many parts of India over the last 50 years. Now that they feel they've got 20% of our population, they're beginning to make all sorts of demands. Hijab, Friday prayers, prayers on and blocking roads, railway platforms, even railway lines maybe. Now you understand, legislation, land, illegal migrants. But where do they get money for all this from? Well, the Waqf Board claims it has an annual income of about 200 crores, which is chicken feed. The real money comes from, you remember a few videos ago, halal certification. Now you see where all that is being used, or a good chunk of it. Remember, the Waqf Board is controlled by apparently about 200 people throughout the country. Every state has it, and yet all of them are controlled by 200 people. 9.25 lakh acres controlled by 200 people. Now it begins to get sinister. Now this is the Islamic invasion of India all over again on a planned, massive scale. The other part of the story is the foreign intervention, the American influence. You know, Mr. Rahul Gandhi has gone around. Why isn't the USA helping, doing something to save democracy in India? What does he mean by that? Does he mean that democracy is in danger as long as he is not in power? And democracy can only be saved or saved if he is elected to form the government? I mean, that is dictatorship. That's not democracy. He kept saying that Modi is going to change the constitution. He isn't. Modi was trying to implement the constitution. Indira Gandhi changed that constitution in 1947 and 1948 and 1949. The people who were writing or getting the constitution together discussed these two problems 10, 12, 13, 14, 15 times. And each time they rejected the idea to make India a secular and socialist country. That is why it was left out of the preamble. It wasn't until 1975, the middle of the emergency, that Indira Gandhi inserted these two things, secularism and socialism, into our constitution. Without any discussion, without any debate, nothing. In any case, there couldn't be any. There was an emergency on, and all the opposition leaders were in prison. And you call that democracy, of course. So, Rahul Gandhi goes around all over the place. Whom does he meet? He meets Samantha Powers. Where? In Uzbekistan. He meets Victoria Newlands in Delhi. Victoria Newlands also talks to M.K. Stalin in Chennai, again last year. Remember I told you about this? February, in my video, Operation Takeover India. Donald Lu goes to Bangladesh. The result is, of course, you can see the mess in Bangladesh. Literally telling Sheikh Hasina, the Prime Minister, if you don't give us St. Martin's Island for our base, we're going to topple you. And they did. The same Donald Lu was probably responsible for deposing Imran Khan in Pakistan. And he's trying to do the same thing in Delhi. Now we have to be very, very careful. Now it's not just Donald Lu. You see, Victoria Newland, Donald Lu, Samantha Powers. They're all part of the same group in the State Department in Washington. What is it? Regime change. Victoria Newland looks after Eastern Europe, Donald Lu, Southeast Asia, Samantha Power, probably Central Asia. Where is the money coming from? Well, the CIA and the State Department. Plus, of course, your old so-called friend, George Soros. Every one of these foreign-funded NGOs in India is suspect, because that money is being channeled into anti-national activities, trying to promote Rahul Gandhi, who is a self-confessed idiot, and yet he wants to be Prime Minister as an agent of all these CIA, State Department, Presidents of the US, George Soros, and of course the Rothschilds. The original Mir Jafar. Now I've spoken about this to a lot of people. Nobody seems to know what a Mir Jafar is. Do you know? Okay, let me just briefly tell you. Mir Jafar used to be Siraj-ud-Dowlah's commander-in-chief. Commander-in-chief of Siraj-ud-Dowlah's army. Now, at the Battle of Plassey, Mir Jafar, with 18,000 troops under his command, was facing a British force of 300 white men, or 300 British people. They got in touch with each other, and the British promised Mir Jafar, you surrender to us, we will remove Siraj ud-Dawla and you can be Nawab. Mir Jafar, 18,000 strong army, surrendered or laid down arms in front of 300 British soldiers. That is a Mir Jafar. Of course, a couple of years later, Mir Jafar was thrown out too. Now you understand what Rahul Gandhi has become. He has sold his soul to the CIA, to the Chinese. Remember this MOU he signed in 2008 on behalf of the Congress Party of India with the Communist Party of China, which in fact or de facto the government of China. Who is the other signatory from what we hear? The present Chinese in charge. Do you see? Manipur, same thing. Disturbance. You remember what I said, the Tukre gang? Manipur and the northeastern states. They're being messed up, ready for takeover. By the Chinese, the Americans, Bangladesh, all working in tandem. And I said then, when Rahul Gandhi said he can solve it in 2 days, my immediate reaction was, how? Unless you're the one behind it. Now it is quite plausible that he probably is behind that unrest. Think about that. A person who's ready to sell this country back into slavery, and he wants to be, how shall I put it, the Sultan of Delhi, or the Sultan of India, or the top Maharaja of India? Does he have no shame left? Oh, of course not. If he had any, he would never have sold this country of ours into their hands. And why is he doing it? Because he knows he's not going to stay here. He has said quite openly, he doesn't have a house in India. Why? He wants to be Prime Minister and he doesn't have a house here? He has no money here. Why? Because it's all in either UK, Italy, Spain, Western Europe, USA, West Indies. He has at least one, if not two, addresses in London. 2 Frognall Way, if Dr. Subramaniam Swamy is to be believed, and another place where the company Back Ops was registered. It is said he has a hacienda in Spain. How many villas does he have in Italy? How many businesses does he have in Italy or Spain under the name Raul Vinci? You see, Rahul is a very convenient name. Rahul in India we can understand. But Raul in Spain or in Western Europe, all you do is you drop the H, R-A-U-L. And you have Raul. Raul Vinci. Has that name ever been investigated in Western Europe or in the UK? How many businesses are there in that name? How much money has been siphoned off by that family out of India, invested abroad to help development of those countries which are already developed? Now you understand why he doesn't want this country of ours to develop. If we develop, how does he loot us to help them to develop? Quite apart from anything else, why does he not have a house in India? What is his nationality? Even that is under question. Has he ever tried proving it? What is in that MOU with the Chinese Communist Party? This whole nation needs to know, and needs to know now. In that statement to His Majesty's government, it was Her Majesty's government then, he has said that he is a British citizen. This is in 2006 and 7. or 2005 and 6. In that case, how is he a member of parliament in India? Think about all this. Now you understand the Mir Jafars who exist all over India. You get the Mamta Banerjees, the Akhilesh Yadavs, the Umar and Farooq Abdullahs, the Gehlots in Rajasthan, the M.K. Stalins in the south, and of course Telangana. I mean, as Mr. Ajib Doval said in one of his speeches, foreigners never defeated us. Most of the armies which defeated our defense armies, forces, were Indians who were fighting under a foreign banner. No foreigners managed to beat us. We beat ourselves. Why? Have we become so fond of being Mir Jafar or power hungry or mad or stupid that we don't want to be independent? That we must always be slaves of outsiders? Because let's face it, Rahul Gandhi is not an Indian. He is not a Hindu. Forget being a Brahmin, which he claims, or which he has claimed in the past. And he has no corner in his heart for India or the people of India. He has only himself, and he is power mad. That's it. And he's willing to sell himself to anybody who will help him become Prime Minister. Anyway, as I said, folks, think about what I've said. Put all this together as one. Join the dots. And then you see what Modi is up against. He's trying very hard to make us a nation. And the opposition, and Rahul Gandhi in particular, are trying to tear us apart. And they're trying to tear us apart only the Hindus. His latest thing on caste census is precisely that. We're not talking about Muslim caste, oh no. They exist also. But he's not bothered about that. But Hindu caste? Aha. But you can't ask him for his caste. No, that's not done. He can ask us, you and I, and anybody else, what is our caste, subcaste, sub-subcaste, and so on. But you mustn't ask him for his caste. Well, that would let the cat out of the bag. Anyway, folks, think about what I've said today. And remember, it's your future, our future, and the future of all your coming generations. Because this time, if we go under as slaves of somebody from outside, we'll never get out of it again. This time it will be permanent. Let's get that straight. Because nobody is going to come forward to help us get out of that slavery. If you get into it, don't blame anybody but yourselves. There is nobody else to blame but yourselves. Because you couldn't get up off your behind and take action. So, have a look. Think about what I've said today. Pass it on to your groups. Ask them to send it on. Pass it on to your friends, relatives, and so on also. Think about it. Learn to act. And Mr. Modi, please take Mr. Mahatma Gandhi's figure or face off our banknotes. That's what's turning us into a bunch of gormless, actionless zombies. Turn the other cheek. No. I mustn't do this. I mustn't fight. Ciao.